Hi everyone, this is the first presentation of our Sociology 101 class, Introduction to Sociology. My name is Jeremy E. Baker. I am your instructor for the course. During this lecture, we will be talking briefly about who I am. We'll be going over our syllabus and a real brief Blackboard review. I will talk about what notes mean to me and why I think you should take them. I'll talk briefly about what sociology is, and I will address our first discussion for the week. So, my name's Jeremy E. Baker. I grew up outside of Pittsburgh. I have a bachelor's degree from Westminster College in sociology. I got my master's degree from The Ohio State University. There I specialized in social change and the labor movement, so unions and that kind of thing. I currently live in Columbus, Ohio, which, yes, I'm in Ohio, you're in New Mexico probably. I currently teach at 3 schools. I teach for Columbus State, I teach for Ashford University, and I teach for University of New Mexico. Ashford and UNM I teach for online. My current research interests include social movement framing and gender roles in modern parenting, which you'll know what that means by the end of this course. So, the very first thing we're doing is going over the syllabus. So if you do not have access to your syllabus yet, I suggest getting onto Blackboard right now and going over to the left-hand tab and clicking syllabus, and it should take you right through. If you desire to, I would suggest printing out a hard copy to keep that with you in your study area. I'll give you a couple seconds to do that right now. Probably want to pause this though, because it'll probably take a little longer than that. Okay, that's long enough for the pause. So, now I will be talking about the syllabus, assuming that you have the syllabus in front of you. So you see my contact information right there. You see the course ID, information about our textbook, The Real World and Introduction to Sociology by Ferris and Stein. It's a pretty good book. I use it for my other courses. There you see a course description of sociology, which I'll talk about in the lecture. Prerequisites and requirements. You are required to be familiar and proficient with Blackboard Learn, Microsoft Word, and UNM student email. You should be proficient with all of this for a normal class, but obviously if this is an online class, so you do need to have those skills. This is the introductory course to sociology, so there are no course requirements prior to that. In this course, you're going to learn how to utilize the sociological perspective and know what that means. You'll be using micro-level and macro-level measures of analysis. You'll also be learning more about prejudice, discrimination, and what that means to our society. You'll also be learning a lot of vocabulary words, including but not limited to sex, gender, race, ethnicity, discrimination, prejudice, norm, value, folkway. Some of those terms you may think you already know. Chances are coming into this class, you are slightly mistaken on a few of them. And that's fine. That's what we're here to learn. And you'll also learn how to understand that content on the personal, national, and international level. We call that using your sociological imagination, and we will learn more about that in the course too. Attendance and overall participation. Since this is an online class, I can't physically count your faces, right, in a classroom setting. So attendance is based on logging in. I need you to turn in your assignments on time and do your in-class participations on time. Your first of the week is always due Wednesday night at midnight. so that's your first initial post on the discussion boards. And then by the end of the week, by Sunday at midnight, and this is all in Mountain Time, which I'm assuming you're in, Sunday at midnight, you will be required to make 2 additional posts on the discussion boards. Other assignments, such as quizzes, such as papers, those will be due. Quizzes will be due Wednesday night, and papers will be due Sunday night. Excused absences and absenteeism, I'm going to be pretty conservative in terms of granting that. I'm not going to grant much of that because this is an online class. We can't do a whole lot of that. Online classes are more flexible. You can do it when you can do it, right? So unless you come down with something really grievous or you break both of your arms or something like that, I can't really grant extensions like that. Students who miss the first assignment and do not contact me within the first week will be dropped from the course. I'm going to be pretty strict with that too this time. So this week is really important for you. The reason for that is other people want to take the class, so I need to give them that chance if they want to do it. So, scrolling down to plagiarism. Plagiarism is using other people's work, other people's ideas, and presenting them as your own. I'll talk more about this when our first papers come up, but I will not tolerate it, period. A lot of times people plagiarize accidentally the first time. They might think copy and pasting material from the internet and putting it in their paper is writing, which it isn't. I will forgive you for that the first time, but you're still going to be penalized. Just don't do it. If you have questions about plagiarism, there is a pretty good tab there that you can use. Email and etiquette policy, you can read that over on your own. Equal access, if you have a disability requirement, if you have a disability waiver, please get those to me as soon as possible. According to the Americans with Disabilities Act, I cannot treat you differently until you get that material to me. So I can't help you until you get me those notices. And, I can't know. Also, but similarly, if you think you might have a learning disability, if you think you might have a hearing disability or something like that, now is the time to take care of that. Because you're in college, and college is a good time to get these things ironed out legally, like from a legal perspective. My brother, who's a lawyer, would give you the same advice. So if you think you might have a disability, now is the time in your life to get that taken care of. Technical support. I'm not really your technical support person. I can help you a little bit. There is information there on how to seek out technical support through the university. Required work and grading. Here's more of the stuff I can control. You will be required to participate in our discussion boards. That's how I am gauging your participation in class. So it's super, super important. If you want to do well in class, you have to participate in each discussion. We're going to be talking about controversial topics. So for this reason, I cannot tolerate, I can't put up with at all, homophobic, racist, sexist, ethnocentric, or any other discriminatory statements or behavior. It just will not be tolerated because everybody has to feel comfortable here. We have to be able to have tough discussions. And that could be tough online, so we all have to be careful. But with that said, we want to learn too. So if you have a question, please let us know. If you're iffy about a question and you don't necessarily want to post it, but you really want to know, feel free to email me. But feel free to ask on the discussion boards. I'm not going to come down on you and call you, racist and get out of my class as long as I have the feeling that you are doing it from a place of kindness. But it's critical that we're kind to each other. That's what's key. Okay. Um, each week you need to make one post and 2 comments. I talked about that already. Your initial post has to be 300 words. Your comment posts have to be 100 words. For quizzes, I do expect you're taking these open book. That's kind of the nature of online classes, and that's okay. But be aware that your quizzes are timed. So it's open book, but not so open booked, right? You don't have forever to take those quizzes. And you have to have them done by Wednesday night, which would suggest that you should definitely have your readings done far before Wednesday night, and also watch the lectures before Wednesday night. You will have a midterm and final essay, weekly assignments, and this varies from week to week. Some weeks you have a quiz, some weeks you have a short essay, some weeks you have a long essay, and that's all laid out pretty well there. Quizzes are due Wednesdays at midnight. Essays are due Sundays at midnight. You do have to be in APA format, typewritten, double-spaced, etc. And we'll talk more about that later. There's my bit more about the late policy. There is just another way to say exactly how many points we have. Your course schedule on page 5, I think, is probably the most important thing for you in the course to show you what we are doing. So you see this is week 1. You don't have a required reading, even though I would say get the book is your required reading. Make your initial post by Wednesday night, and you have the prompt for the post in the discussion board. Figure out where the discussion board is. And your comment posts, you have to make those as well. And the rest of it is down there. I would suggest starting in on chapter 1 this week, since you don't have anything else to read. I definitely expect you to have chapter 1 read by Tuesday of next week. That means getting your book by Tuesday of next week. And that's pretty much it for the syllabus. So we can move on from there. In terms of taking notes, for each lecture, you may have already seen this, I do provide notes that you can print out, and there are lines on those pages for you to take notes beside my slides. My slides are not enough. When I'm teaching in person, I never give those slides, because I feel, I have evidence to show students learn better when they take notes. The psychological data shows that the brain works in different ways when it's writing down and listening. So it's important for your learning process. So I strongly encourage you to print out those notes and to have a notebook and all that stuff. The reason I give slides for online classes is because I can't take cues from you for you to tell me when to slow down, and I can zip through some of these things pretty fast. So today we are starting in on what exactly is sociology. So here you might want to start taking more judicious notes. So science in general. Sociology is a science. What exactly is science? Science can be broken into 2 general categories. We have the natural sciences, which typically we think of as physics, biology, chemistry. Sometimes they're called hard sciences. Social scientists take offense to that because our sciences are just as, quote, hard. And then we have the social sciences, which include sociology, psychology, and economics. So we take scientific modes of examining the world and try to study people like that. And that can be difficult. And when I am talking to my in-person classes, I ask them what difficulties must the social sciences face that the natural sciences might not see in their research. There's 2 major points there. Often, us social scientists are perceived as not being as valid of sciences. That's that whole hard science thing. And that is definitely a hurdle that us as sociologists have to deal with. Real academics respect our work. It's kind of a problem with the public at large. The other major thing is, I use the bowling ball analogy. A physicist who is trying to measure a bowling ball falling can just knock a bowling ball off a shelf, measure the force and velocity of that bowling ball falling, and get a lot of really easy measures. The bowling ball doesn't have an opinion about why it did that thing, right? People, when they do things because social forces are acting on them, have opinions as to why they do that thing. If somebody says something that is racist, they have justifications and ideology to back up what they said. And they might even say, well, that's not racist. Well, it is. Or it could be racist, right? The bowling ball doesn't say, no, I did not fall. The gravity was not acting on me. So that's just one example. And we'll talk more about this stuff later. Just to restate, sociology is one of the social sciences, which are disciplines that examine the human or social world. That is a not great definition, but it's one of many definitions. Sociology is, this illustration I believe is in your book. It is interrelated. It's interlinked with all of these other disciplines. So we do study things that historians study. We do study things that geographers study. We do study things that economists study. But we also do our own study too. We have an incredibly broad field because we are studying all of human society. And because we're studying all of human society, we're basically studying all of the things that humans do. One of the things we want you to take out of this course is for you to develop what's called a sociological perspective, which is a way of understanding the world in a scientific way and being able to apply sociological concepts to the way you see the world. So being able to identify social phenomena when they are impacting you and impacting your family and impacting your friends, and being able to act or at least take into account a more scientific perspective in that regard. That can help you make more rational decisions in life. That can help our society be a little better off. And that's why we teach this as a general course in college, because we think having a little sociology in you, even if you aren't going to be a professional sociologist, will help you out. Here's some more basic definitions, giving you more of an idea of what sociologists are. Howard Becker, who was an early sociologist, said that sociology is the study of people, quote, doing things together, because neither the individual nor society exist independently of one another. So it's the study of us interacting with other people. C. Wright Mills, who was another noted sociologist and a bit more of he had a bit of a sense of humor. He said, whatever sociology may be, it is the result of constantly asking the question, what is the meaning of this? Why are little boys treated differently than little girls? Why do we have all these weird rules relating to what is and is not good table manners? Why do we have these weird bathroom etiquette rules we might not even think about? This is the kind of thing sociologists study. And they're interesting, and they're weird, and they're strange, and it's why I do what I do. Sociologists are interested in all aspects of society. And you might hear that in a train whistle in the background. That's because I live beside train tracks. So I guess you could probably put together some sort of bingo game for this course. You'll be hearing probably train whistles. You'll probably be hearing my yippy dog in the background now and then, and you might hear my parrot squawking. Anyway, society is a group of people who shape their lives in patterned ways that distinguish their group from other groups. So that's what a society is. We'll talk about that in more detail later. Culture shock. Culture shock occurs when you experience a sense of disorientation upon entering a new environment. One of the things we want to help you do is lessen the impact of your own culture shock when it happens. We want to help you be able to respond to things in a way that you would want to respond to it. So behaviors that seem typical in one society or culture may seem very strange in another context. And sometimes people are very surprised, and then they do things that they'd prefer they hadn't done when they experience culture shock. So if you were in a market in Asia and someone who was being very kind, presenting you with a snack here of a cooked snake, right, which is what you're seeing in that picture. If this person is your friend, you might not want to say no and scream because they tried to offer you a cooked snake, but you might do that if you're not prepared for a certain culture shock. So we want to help you along in that. By all means, don't eat a snake if you don't want to, but we want to help you. The sociological imagination is a term coined by C. Wright Mills. He said, to understand social life, there goes my parrot, we must understand the intersection between biography and history. So we have to understand with the sociological imagination how our lived experience, how our personal stories impact and are impacted by world history. What does it mean to my family when a new president comes in who has policies different from previous presidents, right? That is a use of the sociological imagination. A longer definition is the imagination is a quality of the mind that allows us to understand the relationship between our particular situation in life and what is happening at the social level. That's another definition. So that's the tail end of this lecture. In this week, I want you to log on to our discussion boards. There's a link to the discussion boards both on the to-do list for this week. There's also another link to the discussion boards right under the syllabus. Click through there the whole way. You'll have to click several tabs. I hope it's relatively intuitive. If you have a problem with that, please let me know. Send me an email if you have to. Introduce yourself to your classmates. That's the main purpose of the introduction prompt, but follow all the other instructions in there. Your first post is due Wednesday evening. If it's not in by Wednesday at midnight, it's late. And then make 2 replies to other students, and then make those by Sunday evening. And that's what you have to do for this week. There is no quiz this week. There is no writing assignment this week. This week, your job is just to get to know your other students, get your book, listen to my lecture, figure out what's going on. So if you have IT issues right now, if you have any other issues, take care of it now, because next week we're going in full throttle. So it was nice talking to you for a bit. This is probably what will register as a long-ish lecture. I'll talk to you later, though.